Hey guys, hello, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Today's date is April 19th, 2020. It's a date that I typically dread. It's not my favorite day of the year. It is the anniversary of my brother passing away. Now, as I get older, I collect all these special days, my own birthday, my sobriety date, which is my most important date, my grandmother's birthday. We were very, very close. Our birthdays were close together, and we would celebrate each other's birthdays as if it were our own. There's all sorts of dates that I embrace and treasure. And today, the 19th of April, is a day I sort of treasure and I dread. I treasure it in a way that it's really one of the very, very few clear, hard memories I have of my brother. Before that, it's kind of soft. The memories I have of Mark are very vague and soft. Things like my brother and I, when we would get cranky or upset, but we wouldn't go to sleep, my mother would throw us into the back of a station wagon and she would light up a big fat joint and she would smoke a joint in the car while she drove around the neighborhood. And eventually the two of us would get like this little contact high and we would pass out and she would put us to bed. That was her favorite way of getting my brother and I to sleep. So the memory, yep. So these are kind of they're soft memories. I remember these things in a very romantic fashion. But the day he died, and his death is just etched into my brain. So the 19th, I treasure because it's, again, a very strong memory of Mark, and very much like a piece of beach glass. Now, I've used this analogy with a few people, much like a piece of beach glass. This piece of broken glass that kind of stabs your foot while you're walking along the beach. It's this sharp, dangerous thing that just penetrates the base of you, your soul. But with time and wear, that same piece of broken glass can end up becoming a piece of beach glass that you treasure as evidence of a beautiful, beautiful day. And I've used that analogy before in a video a real long time ago, talking about when a passenger lost their son. So I treasure this day, but I also dread it because it just brings back like the worst memory of my life. But I was expecting this day to be really, really bad, really, really crappy, as it usually is. But I have a subscriber who is also in recovery. And she, when I mentioned Zoom meetings, she recommended I go visit her home group. And so I went to a meeting. I think it was in Washington State today. And it was exactly the meeting I needed. When you're in recovery, sometimes, oh, look at how messy my bed is. Don't look. Look at the cat. Sometimes in recovery, especially early recovery, when you just don't feel like going to a meeting because, there's too many awful things happening, whatever. You don't want to go to a meeting because that's the last thing you think you need. But then you go, and then you realize it's really what you needed the most. And I need a really good meeting today, and I got one. So I'd like to say thank you to my subscriber for giving me that gift. I needed to go to a room full of people who were trying to better themselves, and it was necessary. It was great. And I don't know why I chose to do this today. Otherwise, well, I do like to twist little emotional knives. Self-sabotage. But one of the only thing that I really have of my mother's, she passed away in February. I have a photo, this picture of an old man that's still in a box somewhere, that she always had hanging in the house wherever we lived. We moved a lot. We moved, I don't even know, 17 times before I was a freshman in high school. We moved a lot, and that thing was always on the wall. So I have it now too. But the other thing that the woman who took care of her while she was dying, this woman gave me this tin, this big tin that was stuffed past the brim. It was held together with a bungee cord of photographs, of family photographs, and a couple bits of memorabilia that I think are really important to me, and I will treasure for the rest of my life. And I didn't know existed. So I'm going to share some of those things with you. I will apologize in advance because the first couple minutes of this video, when I talk about my brother, I found his obituary. I'm going to read to you his obituary. For me, sharing things, sharing pain, sharing challenges and things that are dangerous to me, that feel dangerous, emotional, is a very common thing. So for some of you, you might be like, wow, I can't believe you're telling me this. What are you doing? This is not stuff you talk about in public. But in recovery, you do get very used to sharing very intimate stories with large rooms of strangers. And it becomes pretty commonplace to share, especially your pain. Because a problem halved, shared is a problem halved, whatever that saying is. So I'm pretty used to sharing the most unpleasant things with other people. And that often brings some of us together because many of us share common experiences, but no one really talks about loss. No one really shares feelings around death and how things happen. So some of you who don't know me very well will be surprised at the intimacy and the transparency that I'll be sharing with you of my life and my feelings. Some of you who have been subscribers for a while may usually see me being much more optimistic than this. And so I do apologize if this is off-putting. Feel free to end this video now. You don't have to watch. But I am going to be sharing with you lots of photos, including this one, of me and some of my family members. So as a little way to get you to continue watching, I'll share that with you. So one of the first things, and the thing I will treasure most in my life, boy, I'm going to talk, this is going to be a longer video, guys. Sorry, I'm not going to apologize for talking a lot. But if you watched a video about what I took to training as a flight attendant, one of the things that I brought with me, and I think I mentioned it in that video, one of the things I brought with me was a paper airplane that my brother made. Just before he died, it was Easter break, it was spring break. And my mother brought us over to my grandmother's house, and my grandmother, who had never made a paper airplane in her life, tried to teach Mark and me how to make paper airplanes, and they were as successful as you'd imagine. Well, fast forward to when I was 22, moving out of my grandmother's house, I found a paper bag in the garage that was filled with those paper airplanes. She had kept them like a grandma would. I asked her if I could have them, and she gave them to me. So I keep one of his paper airplanes. I brought one with me to training, and I keep one of his paper airplanes in my luggage with me at all times in my rollerboard. So I always have a little piece of Mark with me wherever I go. So those until this, those paper airplanes were my most prized possession. If the house were burning down, I would grab my cats, and I would grab these paper airplanes, which are in a red thing over here. But this is my brother's obituary. Now, I'm going to read it. So if you really don't like sad things, this is sad. This is very sad. He was 5 years old. Skip ahead because it's going to get real. So this is his obituary. It was, there are certain things I'm not going to share, like the address and the name of the guy who killed Mark. I'm going to try and remember to tell you a story after this too. All right, so Mark Pereira. Mark spelled with a K the right way. Mark Pereira of this address was fatally injured yesterday when a pickup truck with a camper backed over him on this street near his home. The boy, who was a kindergarten pupil at this school, was pronounced dead at this hospital. The state's medical examiner's office is investigating the boy's death today. The driver of the truck, William something, told police that he pulled to the curb opposite the address to watch children flying kites in the park across the street. He said that he and his passenger both looked into the truck's rear view mirrors before backing up about 5 feet along the curb to get a better view of the kite flying activities. The two men told the police they heard a thump, jumped out of the truck, and found the boy lying beneath it. The fire department was called, and the boy and his mother were rushed to the hospital, where Mark was treated for head and internal injuries before being pronounced dead. Police have not charged the guy, and they mentioned my brother's birthday and all that. So the story is, Mark and I, we were poor, really poor, and we would sit on the sidewalk, and we would get a larger rock in our hand and a smaller pebble, and we would try to pound the smaller pebble into dust, or we'd do our best to break it into pieces of dust. And if we couldn't do that, we would pull out these, pry old asbestos shingles off of houses and break off pieces and pound pieces of asbestos. Yeah, this is 1977, into dust. Of course, we're probably breathing it. And we would spit into the dust of either what we were pounding and pretend we were cavemen with cave wall paintings, right? In reality, it probably looked like bird poop on the sidewalk, but we thought we were being cavemen. I got really tired of this really industrious activity and climbed into this little sapling that just had this little V. It was a tiny little city park tree, you know. I climbed up into it, not very athletic, so the tree was not very big. And this pickup truck came to life, and we both assumed it was going to pull forward as vehicles did. But it backed up and onto the sidewalk and over Mark, his head and his torso. And I fell out of the tree, and he was wearing this bright, smiley face, yellow little windbreaker. I hated this jacket. It was like the most obnoxious yellow. And I just, for a split moment, saw him under the wheel there, and that coat changed in color, you know, and I just took off and ran. And it really was, in my mind, it plays out like a scene in some Stephen King horror movie. The colors are vibrant. The motions are all very vibrant in my memory. But thankfully, they're the memories of an 8-year-old. They're soft at the same time. So I don't feel endangered by these memories, if that makes any sense. But I ran across the park diagonally. There was a fire station at the corner, and so I ran across there, and I remember the tips of my shoes running. I could see the grass and the tips of my shoes, and I got to the fire station, and I'm screaming, my brother's dead, my brother's dead. Hold on one sec. Buddy was crying. He wanted some attention. Hi, honey. Hi, buddy. Wow, okay. So I'm running across the park screaming like, my brother's dead, my brother's dead. They threw me in. Oh, hi, honey. No, don't do that. They threw me into the ambulance, and we pulled up to the house, and my mother came down, and it was really the end of childhood. It really was the end of childhood. Oh, buddy, I love you, buddy. You came up here just at the right time. You came up here to love me just at the right time. I love you, honey. And my childhood ended right there. And after that, it was... But, so that's how Mark died. That's how Mark passed away. April 19th. 1977, and if the camera starts to move, it says Buddy's like exploring it. So I have his whoop. Buddy, stop. Give me your butt. I know, that's his tail. Oh, I know. All right, here, I'll scratch your head. Just stay there. So I have his obituary, and it has the address of where we lived at that time, and that address, to my knowledge, had been lost to time. So when this pandemic, when this emergency is over, one of the first things I want to do when I have time off is I want to go back to Rhode Island where this happened and visit that spot. I've always wanted to go back, and now I have the address. And to me, that's an enormous gift, and I can't wait to go back. So there's that. Ta-da! All right, so are you still watching? That's about as sad as I'm going to get. This is a picture. I have a lot of pictures to show you, but this is a photo of my brother. I don't have this photo anymore. I don't know where it went. But I do have a digital copy on my phone, so I'm going to attach that photo to the very end of this video. It was a little school picture, a teeny one that we blew up years ago. So I'm going to see if I can attach that to the end of this video. So some other things I found in this box of photos. I found, well, Mark's prayer card. It's got the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, that thing, from his funeral. Do they do that anymore? Do they make these little cards anymore for funerals? But I found my grandfather's license from when he died. His Knights of Columbus card. He was very proud of his membership. I found this card that says that he was in the U.S. Marine Corps. I never knew this. He was stationed in Dutch Harbor, Alaska. His insurance card. And then turns out before he was in the Marine Corps, he was in the Navy before that. And so he was in the Navy actually until the end of World War II, and then he was discharged. I suspect that he was, this is a very old plastic. I suspect that he joined the Navy when he was technically too young to do so. Now, don't you climb up here and do that. All right, Claire's visiting. All right, so I am now going to show you a handful of family photographs. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, this is not going to be the most exciting video. This is not a good picture. Not a good picture. This is a picture I have shared before in the past. It's actually one that's behind on a shelf, but it's a photograph of my grandparents when they got married. I don't know what those little red dots are, but can you see how handsome my grandfather was? Look at the bone structure. I don't have any photographs of him from this time other than this, but look at him. He was just like movie star gorgeous. He was always a handsome man, but when he was young, he was devastating. This is my grandmother when she was with my mother. That's her first baby. Look at her hair. I love that little fluff in the front and the fluff on the sides. I love that. I have a number of school photos. Get ready. I have a number of school photos. I do not know the grades except for one of them. I don't know. I was probably 11 or 12. I don't know. Look at that. Do I look like a girl? I think I look like a girl. I love this picture. It doesn't look like me at all, and I have no idea what grade I was in. But I think I look cute. I look kind of vaguely Asian. And I loved my hair, that little flip off to the side. I loved it. This is my mother's shirt. I wore my mother's clothes a lot when we had like occasions like photos and things, because I didn't have real clothes. We had t-shirts. But this is my mother's shirt. It was like this vaguely Western shirt. But that's me, kind of fat, lumpy, long hair. Another picture of me, a school picture. I don't know what year it was, but kind of vaguely cute, kind of lumpy. It was never really cute. Something I'm curious about and I don't understand in this, there have to be 1,000 photographs. I went through all of these. There had to be maybe 500. It feels like 1,000. I went through every photo here, and there are maybe 3 or 4 photos of Mark. I don't know why there's so few. I can't explain it, but this is a picture. You can hardly make it out. I don't think you can even see it. But I'm in the blue. Oh, you can kind of see it. I'm in the blue. Mark is down there in the yellow. We were just unpacking, and he was so grumpy. I remember him waking up, and he is just like like children when you wake up on the airplane. They're like limp and lifeless. Christmas morning, he was not anxious to get up and open presents. He did not want to be awake. But his hair was all hanging down in his face, and he was opening up a cowboy hat and a little holster that had a little silver metal gun and a little sheriff's badge. This is me, prepubescent, fat, my mother's shirt, my mother's sweater, and my mother's blazer. Yeah, that's me. Look at that big round. All right. I already showed you this earlier, but look at this. I think I'm adorable. I don't see, do you see me in that? I don't see me there at all. Although I do see, because you notice I had this one bag. I hate to point it out because I hate it. If I could have plastic surgery, I would. This has always bothered me, and it's always been there. I've always had that little thing under my eye. Senior prom. This is clearly no timeline. Senior prom. That's my prom date, Lynn. And I really probably could invest in some technology to scan these photographs, but I'm not doing it. Lynn, she made that dress. It's a green satin with white lace. She made it by hand. Lynn and I went to the prom. She was an out lesbian. Everyone knew she was a lesbian, and somehow she survived high school. I don't know how. But I hadn't come out to the, oh, look at the hair too. Look at my hair. I hadn't come out of the closet yet to her. But we had just sat down to dinner at our senior prom. We had just sat down at the table, and a water glass tipped. And satin stains with water. It's not good. So she ran to the bathroom to try and mitigate the loss of the dress, you know. And while she was in the bathroom cleaning up, she met a girl. And then she came over to the table and told me she was leaving. Yeah. That was my senior prom. And then that night I got sick. I actually managed to get drunk, kind of, on Bartles and James wine. I drank two 2-liter bottles, I think, that night of Bartles and James wine coolers, and I got sick on the beach. This is a Christmas tree, clearly. We were living in Germany. My mother had married a number of guys. They were almost all in the army at one point. We were super broke, super broke, because you had to either choose hash. No one smoked pot back then. Everyone smoked hash, or things like Christmas trees. So we saw a Christmas tree lot at the end of our street, and we couldn't afford a Christmas tree, so that we waited till they closed. And my mother, my stepfather, and myself ran down to the end of the street. We grabbed a tree out of the lot and we ran. We stole our Christmas tree. This picture isn't really of anything important, but it's us at Thanksgiving. That's just what Thanksgiving looked like in my family. Just blue collar. Everyone's mildly drunk at that point. This is a picture of the only man who I think ever really loved me, including my ex-husband. I don't even think he ever really did. But Richard Sullivan, and my grandmother. And this was at somebody's wedding. I don't know, can you even see that? It was at somebody's wedding. Oh, he was this big, solid Irishman. He was just deep voice, and he was a mortgage loan officer, and a true gentleman. I forced him to come out of the closet. He was not out of the closet, and I was not going to date someone who was still in the closet, and he did not want to, but I made him. Oh, and I broke his heart. This is the picture of me with hair. That is all my hair. That was me with my cousin Katie, and that's her mother Elaine right there. This is a picture. You can tell how old I am because this is what pictures look like. Is that going to focus? Is that going to focus? Wait. Oh, can you see that? That's me. As a little fat round-headed kid. This is my first dog. This is really my first and last dog. I've been around dogs forever, but this is like the only dog I ever really had. And this is BJ. Now, my mother got BJ. I came home. We were living in a double-wide trailer on a dirt road in Daleville, Alabama. About as exciting as it sounds. And she said, go look under my bed. And I went to look under her bed, and there were two eyes shining at me, red. And there was this low growling. It was BJ. She hated everyone but me. She loved me. And I got to name her, and I called her BJ, which is short for Baby Jane. I was 10 years old, and I named the dog Baby Jane. And some people were surprised I was gay. Look, I'm out of focus, but let's see. This is a picture of me and my mother. Get ready for this one. This is 2002, probably December. I think December of 2002. Let's see. That is me and my mother. Now, I just done her makeup. She did not like makeup, so I put just whatever. But that was me when I first got sober, about 6 months after I got sober, and that's my mother. Yeah, that's my mother. Interesting, this is a photo of me at my graduation. Christine, she had a couple kids in high school. I think she had one kid in high school. She got pregnant in high school. Let me focus there. That's Christine. Stephanie, one of my only two friends in high school. There's me with all that hair. Look at that hair. And this guy right there turned out, and this is focused on me, turned out he was gay. And it turns out just before I got into a scene in Boston where I was Mr. Boston Bear. It's a long story. Just as I was kind of getting into the scene, he had been out and very prominent in the community, and just a tremendously gentle soul. Everyone loved him, and he died suddenly just before I really got into the scene. And I feel like I lost something. I missed an opportunity because apparently he was an amazing person. And I didn't really know him at all, but that's us. This is a picture of my grandfather, and I only show this picture of him, let me focus there, because I have my grandfather's body. I have better legs than he does, but I have a belly. I have his exact same belly. Another picture of me, this is my junior prom. This is my outfit for my junior prom. Look how happy I was. Carol was my prom date. She was is an amazing soul. At a very difficult point in my life in 2015, out of the blue, she came through and helped me out in a way that I can't even describe to you. But she wore this white and lavender, enormous, giant confection of white and lavender, and she's also a lesbian. See a running theme? This is a picture of me right after Mark died. My mother received $1,900 from insurance. I don't know why I remember that. And she spent a majority of that on a trip. She took me to Disney World in Florida. Did we do something else? SeaWorld? I forget what we did. But I was just not having it. I was not happy. I look at the hair. Look at all that hair. Look at all that hair. I was not happy. And there's Mickey. And this is it's 1977. And I always look at that woman up in the upper corner there and look at the eye contact she's making with the camera. Yeah, I wasn't happy. This is Lisa Kachiri. I should probably Google her or look her up on Facebook or something. She was the girl I think my entire family was trying to get together with me. I think they imagined we were going to be a future couple. Her brother and my aunt got married, and that was me. Look at that little mess there. Yeah, and that's Lisa Kachiri. I'm playing a Mr. Pac-Man game. That's about as high as technology was back then. But yeah, I was. And this kitchen. Look at that wallpaper, that vinyl wallpaper, and the fake wood paneling. That was the kitchen. That was the That was my safe, in the orange plastic tablecloth. That was to be my safe place forever. Whenever I have a really difficult time in my life, I think of my grandmother and I and me sitting at that table watching Jeopardy on a small little TV on the table while we ate dinner, and that was my happy, safe place. This, I don't know who these other kids were, but this is a really good picture of me and Mark. Now, I don't know who they were, but that's me looking a little bit like Natalie Merchant, if anyone knows who that was. And look at Mark down there, a little smile. And see how small he was? He was a little bird. He was a little bird. That was, yeah, it was a couple years before he died. He must have been about 3 there. I don't know, but that's Mark. Clearly not in any particular order. This is how, if you kids, well, you kids are spoiled. You guys have these cameras on your phones that are just like super high tech. Back when I was a kid, this was 1990. Technology. This was supposed to be a good quality photo, but you can still hardly make it out. Look at the hair, though. Look at my hair. Look at that hair. Every little piece was in exactly the place it should be. The shirt right there, that green shirt, was one of my grandfather's shirts. I had stolen from him. I cut the collar off and I made a little fake Nehru collar, a banded collar, and I wore that with a black blazer. And see that thing on my blazer right there? It was my birthday. Was it my 21st birthday? Oh my God. My grandmother gave me $50 for my birthday. I went and I bought a black felt pork pie hat that I used to wear with my hair roostered out like this, and one single solitary rhinestone shoe clip that I found at an antique store. A rhinestone shoe clip that I used to wear on the pocket of my blazer. Gay much? I don't know. Oh, this is going to be a long video. Picture of me, and I was in junior ROTC. I had done something to my knee. I don't know what it was. You can see my eyes. I was not digging that experience. This is me with hair. Who knew this would turn into like a 45-minute long video of me? Look at me. This is like when I think I was actually cute. Look at that. Look at that hair. Yeah. That was my grandmother's old house. I love that house. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is actually of me and my father. This is shortly after I met him. I met him and my father's family. I was 29, I think. And notice, I don't know if you can see a similarity in facial features. We were very much alike. We look identical to each other. But even our postures were the same. We didn't plan that, but we literally have the same angles on our arm. We were identical to each other. That's my father and me. I really haven't seen him more than twice since. He doesn't seem to be very interested in me. This is a picture of me when I was 3. Look at the cuteness. Wait, can you see? Oh, look at how cute I was. Look at that outfit. I love it. I was 3 years old. Mark was just born. Cousin Shirley. This is, because I came out. But before me, there were no other gay people in my family. No one talked about her. But this one on the left in the yellow, I believe that's her. I think it was Cousin Shirley and her roommate, her long-term roommate. No one talked about it, but everyone kind of knew. This is a picture of my grandfather and my grandmother on their wedding day, I think. And I think I've shown this to you before, but look at my grandfather. Now, it's hard to see because the photo this is a reconstructed photo, but can you see the bone structure of my grandfather? Look at him. Oh, so handsome. And my grandmother looking very sharp right there. Nope, don't get up here. Do not get up here. Picture of me, probably freshman year of college, looking kind of schlumpy. I was the student government president that year, mostly because I had an office with a phone. Not interesting. Not interesting. Picture of a parrot. Nope. Yeah. Am I going to show this to you? Yes, I will. These are 2 pictures of me in drag. Get ready. This one you really can hardly see. It was taken from somebody who knew me worked at a grocery store, convenience store. I was in a convenience store buying something. I just wanted to walk around in public. I don't think you can actually even really see me. But this was, I don't even know what year it was. 1990? Yeah, 1990. And this is another picture of me in drag. My boss dared me to come to work in drag. I was working at a beauty supply store in Lexington, Boston Beauty Supply. I think it's still there. And my other coworkers said they were dressing up in costume, and she dared me to come in drag. Get ready. Wait. That's me. Let's see if I can make that. What do you think? I'm pretty. I think the hair's good, don't you think? And I had very good legs. That was a picture of me in drag. Look how tall I was compared to my coworkers. And they're full-size women. That was me. This is a picture of my grandfather as he was older at my Aunt Elaine's wedding. He was still super handsome. He was so handsome. I don't think he was ever happier in his life except that day when his daughter got married. My grandparents together. I'll show you this. It's not a great picture. It's a little Polaroid. It's not a great picture. It's not very clear. But that's my grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather. He would sneak up. They were married for a very long time. He would sneak up behind her in the kitchen and turn her around, not spin her. He'd turn her around and out of nowhere just start dancing with her in the middle of the kitchen. And I only witnessed this like 2 or 3 times in my entire life. But for me, it was the epitome of romance. They deeply loved each other. I think he died early in 1989. So he's in his early 60s. But he loved my grandmother, and she adored him. There's BJ again. I think I told you about BJ. The devil dog. This is one of my favorite pictures of my grandmother. She was camping up for the camera. She did not like to be photographed. She had very low self-esteem, and she avoided the camera at all times. This is my grandfather in his natural state. This is just how he was the whole time. He was this grumpy, grizzled old man. That was Christmas morning. I gave him a tie for Christmas. The man hadn't worked since the late 60s. He had a really bad heart condition. He took nitroglycerin all the time. He had a horrible heart, and it almost killed him a number of times before it really killed him. He hadn't worked in probably 30 years at that time. And I gave him a tie for Christmas. I don't know why, but this is a picture. I hope you can see it. It's a picture of them. I think this is at my mother's wedding. Possibly. But they were just a very smart little couple. Oh, you can see that, right? That's together. Weren't they a smart little couple? Oh, I thought he was so handsome. Here, he kind of looks like a mobster. You might pause that because I'm all wiggly. I think he looked a little bit like a mobster. And this is a picture of me. This is my last picture. Yay, right? You survived. Picture of me in high school. That's my scene. That's one of the photos taken. It was not the one that I used for the picture. But you really can't tell. I'm wearing a little black bow tie with a black and blue navy check shirt. The height of fashion I wore a black bow tie with that shirt. Crazy. Look at my cats. Oh, the 2 babies. All right, so There you go. Oh, wait. One last thing. I don't think I shared this with you. All right, so all those were happy pictures. This is the last thing, I promise. This is a little piece of memorabilia that I will treasure almost as much as my brother's obituary. These are, it's an EMS ambulance run report from my mother. It is dated June 24th, 2002. My mother had tried to kill herself. Happy. She tried to kill herself. And when that did not work, she checked herself into the hospital. And she was admitted to a locked psych ward. And the notes here talk about what was happening, that she voluntarily admitted herself to the hospital. And the reason I treasure this so much, and this is a piece of paper that I will treasure the rest of my life, is my mother was just a horrible person. And I am very much like her in a lot of ways, or I was very much like her in a lot of ways. When she tried to finally kill herself, do you ever see A Christmas Carol? Scrooge, the Ghost of Christmas Future. The Ghost of Christmas Future is skeletal in that black cowl with and he points at the grave, at Ebenezer Scrooge's future grave, and that is the Ghost of Christmas Future telling Ebenezer what his future will be like if he does not change. Okay. Well, that photo, that piece of paper is evidence of when my mother went to the hospital because she tried to kill herself, because her alcoholism and her addiction and her mental illness came to a point where she was going to end her life. And she suffered, and everyone else around her suffered enormously for years before she came to that point. And I decided, my aunt had called me and said, Stephen, your mother's in the hospital. She tried to kill herself. You should probably go visit her. And at that point, I hadn't been talking to her for many years. I went to go see her out of some familial obligation that I somehow felt I should go see her. And I went to see her. And it was basically the Ghost of Christmas Future pointing at my grave. I saw my future in my mother, because I'm very much like my mother in a lot of ways. And I was going to end up like my mother, trying to kill myself in a locked psych ward after suffering for years and hurting everyone around her. And I decided that I was not going to do that. But I was not equipped with any other options on how, because I didn't think I had to change my life or that I could change my life. So my solution was my mother's solution. I went up and have I ever shared this with you? I don't think I have. There's probably a reason I haven't. So I went to visit her, and the next day I went to Pearl Art Supply in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I bought myself an X-Acto knife. And I lay myself down in my futon, and my plan was to check out of the party with this X-Acto knife, doing a little, and I chickened out. Thank God. Because I was mentally ill at the time. I was suffering in the depths of alcoholism and untreated whatever. And so she checked in on the 24th, I think it was, of June, and June 28th, 4 days later, I was in a locked psych ward. The lowest point in my life, but also the highest, because that was the catalyst. That was the moment that my sobriety began, because my sobriety date is June 28th, 2002. And that's the story of how I arrived on the rocky shores of my bottom, and I've threatened one day to do a video about my sobriety. And I kept thinking, oh, it's so personal, and maybe I won't do it. And then I decided today to share all this with you. So I might as well, right? I might as well share that. So I might. So if you are a... that's it with the sad stories. See, but the sad stories aren't sad stories to me. The sadness and the pain that some of that stuff embodies, or is evidence of, I should say, in the end, is what I needed. How like it was the waves and the rocky waves that, and the gusts of howling wind that pushed my ship into the right direction, you know? So I needed to have all these pain and these sort of negative things happen for me to be able to turn myself in the direction where I really needed to be, and that's where I am right now in my life. So I'm grateful for all of that stuff that most people don't share with everybody, but you know, we're talking about me. So if I post this, and I still haven't decided, and you've been put off by this and you decide, well, I don't want any more of that, this is about as dark as my videos are ever gonna get. So if you survive this, you'll survive anything. Yeah, so any comments, whatever you want down there, feel free to leave a comment. I am, in the coming weeks, going to put together a whole list of flight attendant topics. So those of you who like my flight attendant content, I'm going to put together a whole bunch of stuff. One of my subscribers was very thorough and put together a list of possible topics for videos that were spectacular. And so I'm going to put that list to good use. And but in the meantime, tonight I'm going to give these beautiful babies their evening treats, and I'm going to put myself to bed. The end of April 19th is almost upon me. It's just past 11 o'clock at night. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I haven't brought you guys down, you know, but I do increasingly like to share things of myself with you guys. It's nice. I guess that's it. So I'll talk to you guys later. Fly safe. Bye.